When Marge opens the washing machine, a wave of unbearable stench hits her in the face. Their washer is completely dead, so she's forced to use their last bit of special income, the final stash of money hidden inside Bender's body. She sends Homer to the store to buy a new washing machine, but to Marge's shock, Homer comes home carrying a honeycomb grill. He proudly tells the family that this thing can sear beautiful honeycomb marks onto meat. Marge is furious. She scolded Homer for bringing back a useless grill instead of buying them a washing machine they desperately needed. But it doesn't take long for Homer to completely change her mind. After endless convincing, Marge finally takes a bite of the freshly grilled meat, and that one bite is all it takes for her to fall in love with the grill. The family eats from morning till night, and the smell of barbecue fills all of Springfield. Residents follow the aroma and flock over to buy Homer's grilled meat. The grill instantly becomes the hottest item in town. Seeing the endless line of customers, Marge finally relaxes. She tells Homer that buying the grill was actually the right move. Soon, Homer's barbecue attracts the attention of the local TV station. They send famous food critic Scotty Boom to pay Homer a visit and challenge him to a cook-off. Homer, thrilled by the idea, accepts the challenge on the spot. But the very next morning, while Homer is prepping his spices, he realizes the grill is gone. Losing the grill breaks him instantly. He completely loses the will to live. He collapses on the floor, letting Bart play on top of him like a jungle gym. Marge keeps trying to encourage him, hoping he'll find the strength to face the challenge again. But Homer remained deeply mired in despair, and his emotions even affected Bart and Lisa. Luckily, Marge refuses to get pulled into the emotional spiral. She takes the depressed family to the competition and decides to fight for the win using her own cooking skills. But the moment Marge serves her dish, the judges take one bite and spit it out immediately. Meanwhile, the aroma from Scotty Boom's barbecue has the judges smiling before they even taste it. Then Bart suddenly notices something. The honeycomb grill marks on Scotty Boom's meat look exactly like the ones from their family grill. He calls him out on the spot for stealing Homer's grill. After comparing the marks, the judges confirm the truth. Scotty Boom is disqualified. And so, the Simpsons won the championship. Homer also found his grill, Zero, and he excitedly hugged it, never wanting to be separated from it again. Poor Homer, nothing creeps him out more than vampires. One night during the Simpsons TV time, the news cut in with a terrifying report. A poor resident had been killed, and his blood was completely drained. The police blamed the attack on some unknown creature to prevent things from getting worse. They even burned every vampire-related artifact in the museum. The more Lisa watched, the more terrified she became. She warned everyone in the house to watch out for a vampire attack, but Homer thought the whole thing was ridiculous. He didn't believe vampires would ever show up in their town. Moreover, he was going to take his whole family to Mr. Burns' country castle for a dinner party. Mr. Burns warmly welcomed the Simpsons. Lisa thought Burns' behavior was strange, while Homer thought Mr. Burns' hairstyle was odd. Out of curiosity, Batra triggered a mechanism inside the castle. The next second, Bart was standing in front of the vampire. When Burns brought Bart back to the table, Lisa immediately realized he had turned into a vampire. That night, Bart, now a vampire, tried to attack Lisa, but Homer arrived in time and stopped him. Even though Homer stopped the danger, he had zero intention of risking his life to save Bart. So Marge used the simplest, most brutal logic to convince him. If Bart learns to suck blood today, he'll probably learn to smoke tomorrow. So Homer needs to take Burns out now. Forced by Marge's parenting wisdom, Homer dragged himself deep into the castle. He found Burns lying in a coffin and drove a wooden stake straight through his heart, right before crumbling to ash. Burns still managed to curse Homer and got him fired on the spot, and that is the real reason Homer is absolutely terrified of vampires. For Bart, who was not yet born, nothing affected him more than alcohol. The Simpsons were driving to a party when Homer threatened Bart, saying that if Bart touched his nose again, he would crash the car into the big tree on the side of the road. Fortunately, Maggie stopped their antics in time, and the car arrived at the party unharmed. But Bart encountered someone here who looked exactly like him. Before they could react, an adult version of Bart suddenly appeared and introduced his wife to them, a woman who looked like a female version of Milhouse. The other boy tells Bart his name is Simon. Simon suggests they switch places so both of them can experience a completely different life. Bart hesitates until he hears Homer outside yelling about giving him a beating. He immediately agrees to the swap. They quickly change clothes and fill each other in on their families. Moments later, Bart is riding in Simon's luxury sedan, enjoying the service of a personal chauffeur while Simon is already getting a taste of Homer's parenting style. The car pulls into a ridiculously rich palace, where a line of servants greets Bart in perfect formation. Inside the mansion, there's a pool big enough for 2 pirate ships, a volcano that spits candy corn, a ceiling taken straight from Saddam's palace, a giant race car bed, and a massive library Bart has zero interest in. His new life feels like pure fantasy, but the good times don't last. Simon's brother and sister trick him into the family trip and lock him inside. Fortunately, Mr. Burns appeared and saved him because Bart, disguised as Simon, was even richer than Mr. Burns, who always liked to curry favor with those who were richer than him. Burns warns him to watch out for Simon's siblings, because they might try something drastic for the inheritance. Bart tries to pack up and escape, but before he can leave, the siblings drag him onto a so-called family ski trip. At the same time, Lisa realizes that Simon is not the real Bart. She exposes him on the spot. Simon immediately tells Homer that Bart has been taken to a ski resort and someone plans to murder him there. Homer completely misinterprets the situation, thinking Simon is future Mr. Bart, who traveled back in time to warn him, so he drove his family to the ski resort at the top of the mountain. Simon's sister pushed Bart off the slope without hesitation. Thankfully, Lisa spots Bart sliding down the mountain. To save his son, Homer jumps off the ridge, rolling into a giant snowball, chasing Bart all the way down, and finally knocking him safely inside the lodge. Both of them escape unharmed. That night, Bart finally returns to his family's arms. Nothing could break Flanders more than the collapse of his faith. One day, the sky suddenly changed color, and a massive hurricane tore through all of Springfield, ripping everything on the streets right into the air. With nowhere else to hide, the Simpsons had no choice but to take shelter in their basement. Thankfully, the storm came fast and left just as quickly. When the family stepped outside, they were shocked to see their home completely untouched. But their neighbor Ned Flanders wasn't so lucky. His entire house had been shredded into a pile of broken lumber. At least the Flanders family survived. Though the storm had blown their clothes to rags, homeless, they moved into a temporary shelter. Late at night, unable to sleep, Ned quietly slipped out of the shelter and went to the church for comfort, as the disaster he witnessed had shaken his faith. When Ned's friends heard what happened, they decided to rebuild his home. The moment Ned saw the new house, he was overwhelmed, almost unable to believe his eyes. Homer proudly led him inside to take a tour of their masterpiece. The toilet was built right next to the fridge. The wall cracks open completely once the clown poster is torn off. The rooms looked like they were pieced together from leftover scraps, and the bedroom door wasn't even as wide as Ned's face. And at the end of the tour, Homer tapped lightly on the doorframe, and the whole house collapsed like a stack of paper. In that instant, Ned's faith shattered completely. He exploded, yelling at everyone in sight, leaving the entire crowd frozen in fear. In the end, the group drove him straight to the psychiatric hospital. Even though Ned insisted he was perfectly fine, the staff carried him off anyway. When a nurse came by to check on him, he was calmly sitting on the bed flipping through a magazine, as if the meltdown moments ago had never happened. No one at the racetrack could beat Bart and his racehorse. That day, Homer wore a deep-fried shirt and took his family to the state fair. As they wandered around, a diving horse show suddenly grabbed everyone's attention. A white horse was forced to leap off a high platform into a pool. The whole stunt looked more like an accident than a performance. Suddenly, Springfield police arrived, and he tried to ask who owned the horse. However, as soon as the horse's owner saw the police, he immediately drove away. By regulation, any horse abandoned by its owner would be sent straight to the slaughterhouse unless someone adopted it on the spot. Bart stepped forward without the slightest hesitation, so Homer put the horse on the roof of the car and took it back to the Simpsons' house. They named it Buddy. Bart and Lisa fell in love with it instantly, but Marge immediately warned Homer that keeping a horse cost a fortune, at least $500 a week. Homer, of course, complained that even the mop Marge bought at the fair needed food. Nevertheless, he still came up with a plan. He decided to turn Buddy into a money-making racehorse. Under Homer's special training, Buddy's mane became multicolored, and he even wore a jacket that accentuated his muscles. Its temper also became irritable, as if it were ready to charge at anything in its way at any moment. Not long after, but stepped onto the track for the first time. Once the race started, it charged wildly as if possessed, constantly overtaking its opponents. With Bart shouting from above, Buddy pulled ahead and easily took first place. Homer was so thrilled he even ran off to mess with the other jockeys, but his victory lap didn't last long. The jockeys dragged him into a pipe and sent him to a strange, unknown place. It was a bizarre dimension known as the Leprechaun's Secret Garden. Those jockeys weren't humans at all, they were a gang of vicious little leprechauns. They threatened Homer, telling him he had to throw the next race or they'd eat him. Homer returned to the ground, thinking it was all an illusion, until the goblins reappeared and clearly expressed their threat. He tried to convince Bart to quit the race that night, but Bart told him that if Buddy won just one more time, the horse could retire for good and live as a stud. It would never have to risk its life on the track again. Hearing that, Homer had no choice but to let Bart race. The Triple Crown race finally arrived. The competitors were ready, whipping Bart and Buddy from both sides to force them off the track. Buddy completely snapped. It snatched the whips out of their hands and tossed the jockeys right out of the arena. Bart held on tight and crossed the finish line with Buddy, winning the race once again. Just as Homer stepped forward to give his acceptance speech, the leprechauns aimed a cannon straight at him. In the nick of time, Homer vaulted onto Buddy's back, and they bolted toward the exit. The leprechauns chased after them, but Lisa and Maggie blasted them with water guns, knocking them over. Homer seized the chance and stuffed them all into a garbage bag. In the end, Buddy earned its freedom as a Triple Crown champion. Now it no longer needs to participate in competitions and can choose its future mate according to its own preferences.